welcome to the second series of this webinar series Beyond the Circuit. This is organized by ThinkyHearts NIEE Bauchi chapter. And for this webinar series, the second series, we have Nikki's Digital Center with us. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If you can remember, for our first webinar series, we had Beyond the Circuit, Harnessing Energy, Technology, and Innovation for Global Relevance. And we had Engineer Zafirah and Azizat on that series. And I saw that some of you reacted that you were here for the first series. It's nice to have you here again. For our second series, and for the first time, we're having the Nikki's Digital Center. And this series is titled Building Your Brand for the Labor Market. It's still under the Beyond the Circuit series. And I'm so excited for this one because it takes us beyond technical knowledge, teaches us how to present and position ourselves and how to set ourselves apart for today's competitive workplace. So on today's session, have um, we have the welcome address, we have the biography of the speaker. I'm excited for the speaker that we have today. We'll get into the discourse. We'll have some contributions from Engineer Zafira and Dr. Azizat again. I hope that you can hear me, and I want you to give a round of applause in excitement. We'll have our question and answer session, and then we'll close the session. All right. So before I get into the welcome address, before we get into the welcome address by Dr. Camilu, I'm going to tell you who we are at Thinky Heart. So you must have been seeing NIE students, must have been seeing Thinky Heart, and you must have been thinking, who are the Thinky Hearts that we are collaborating with, and what do they do at Thinky Heart? So Thinky Heart is an Africa-rooted initiative that is focused on advancing sustainability, inclusive learning, and circular economy transformation tools, content, and real-world partnerships. At Thinky Hearts, we develop eco-education resources, we lead waste to wealth and green innovation projects, we host webinars like this and learning labs and support change makers across schools, homes, and different communities. So I think here at our work is to majorly empower educators, youths, parents, NGOs, and professionals to turn meaningful ideas into practical impact from classroom to continent-wide system. Can you give Thinky at a round of applause? That's no small job. Yeah, thank you very much. So while we have the welcome address by Dr. Camilu, I'm going to drop Thinky Heart's social media details in the chat box. So while he is giving his welcome address, you can check who we are Thinky Hearts. We would have this session recorded. If you missed the first session, the first series, the webinar series, you can catch up on our YouTube channel. We have the recorded version on our YouTube channel, so you can catch up. I'll drop our social media handles, our YouTube and LinkedIn page on in the chat box. So at this point, I would like to invite the chapter chairman of NIEE Bauchi chapter, Dr. Kamilu Lawal, to deliver the welcome address. Dr. Kamilu.
Thank you very much, Miss Itsuno, capacity moderator. I'm using this opportunity to welcome everyone to our webinar series. And like Miss Itsuno have rightly mentioned, this is a series to empower our graduating students and others that believe that it is not enough for you to just leave the university without the desired skills to be who you want to be in the future. I appreciate our guest speakers and our contributors for today's webinar. Using this opportunity to welcome everybody again to this webinar. I'm also trying to rebrand myself. Shittu Ibrahim. Thank you very much. Welcome.
Have our speaker today, Dr. Shittu Ibrahim. He is the MD and the CEO at Nikki's Digital Center. Can we give him a round of applause? Can we show some excitement while I read out his Dr. Shittu Ibrahim is an experienced lecturer, a facilitator, and community development enthusiast with a PhD in finance. He has been lecturing with Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Bauchi for a decade now and has involved in teaching, research, and community services, served in various administrative roles in the university, and had attended several conferences, seminars, and workshops. Dr. Shittu is a highly talented team player who can add value through his administrative abilities combined with an excellent communication skill set that enables a successful working environment to attain and exceed organization goals. His passion for humanitarian made him enroll for humanitarian MBA with Roxburgh Institute for Social Entrepreneurship at Switzerland and became a fellow of the institute in 2021. He is as well an alumni of Tostan Training Center, THIS in Senegal, a formal center for community well-being and stakeholders engagement. Dr. Shitty is an advocate of the SDGs, and in 2021, he founded MWP Skill Set Hub, which is a humanitarian hub that provides employability set skills for youth, and the hub has provided various skill set training. Can we give Dr. Shitty a round of applause? He is a member of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, Capital Markets Academics of Nigeria, Nigerian Society for Financial Research, and Association of Professional Bankers in Education, among others. Can we give Dr. Shito a round of applause as he comes up? Good evening, Dr. Shito.
Thank you very much. I want to once again welcome every one of us here. And what we'll be discussing today is relating to self-branding for the labor market. The essence of this topic, of this title, is because most of us have, we probably might be in one job or the other, or we want to change job, or we have some that might be students and aiming to look for a job when they graduate. But the major challenge we do face recently is because, not that though it has been a challenge that Nigeria is being faced with unemployment. However, it's not that the job is not totally available. But the major challenge we have is the unmatched skill of people we have. We have law graduates, but the question is, do they really have that skill for the job that is available? Another thing is, even if you have the skill for the job that you want to do you really package yourself well for the skill? How are you able to convince people that you actually have this skill? So this has been one of the major challenges people are really facing. So which makes this to be very essential. So today we'll be looking at what we need to do, what we need to put together in our CV to make it outstanding, or what we call resume. We also need to look at what we call an applicant tracking system. What you need to understand on how to create this applicant tracking system, which is ATS compliant CV. We'll also be looking at CV layouts, cover letters, and the job search techniques that we need to know. And we'll talk briefly about how to prepare for an interview and also give room for questions and answers I've mentioned earlier. Most of us are familiar with CV, I'm sure of that. Most of us are familiar with CV. But what exactly is CV, or what we call resume? Just as I've mentioned earlier, there are thousands of people looking for the same job that you actually want to look for. In fact, millions of people. And most of these organizations don't really have time to look at these CVs of yours one after the other. However, even if they have time, a situation where we have a lot of people looking for the same job, those that are actually seeking for people don't actually know those that are applying. So how can you now convince them that you're actually capable of this job? That is the essence of CV. So it's not a document that actually sells you to the public. It is a document that shows your ability, that shows your capability for that job you're actually applying for. So CV is just like a marketing tool. So it's just a tool that actually helps you to brand yourself together, to define who exactly you are, to define who exactly you are. So what is CV? you are and to define your view that if you are not able to brand yourself in your CV, there is no way you'll be able to sell yourself to people. I believe you can all hear me, right? Can we confirm you can hear me, please?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
Yes, sir.
That is good. Why should CV be outstanding? Why do you think your CV should be branded in a way that it will entice people? One of the reasons is because it will be the first impression people will have about you. If you are submitting a CV, then whatever you have on that CV will describe who exactly you are. So if you are not able to package it well, definitely you are giving people bad signal about yourself. And just as I mentioned earlier, it's just like a personal branding. You telling people this is exactly who you are. You branding yourself, packaging yourself in terms of the skill you have, in terms of the achievement you've made, in terms of the experiences you have. So you have to brand yourself on this CV. So to stand out among millions of applicants, you have to make sure you design an outstanding CV. And the essence is to showcase your professionalism because CV will definitely will tell people who exactly you are. That is why it is very essential for you to have an outstanding CV. So while creating a CV, we're talking about branding yourself now. There are some things that are very essential that must be on that CV. All CVs that are being prepared must have these contents. And you have to make sure that you are selling yourself through these contents. First of it, professional summary. Who exactly are you when it comes to professionalism? So the summary of yourself must be on that CV so that once people read it, they'll be able to say something about you in a statement. I will show us just a sample of professional summary along the line. Then you also need the skills or core competencies. What are the main skills you have? What are the competencies you have? The job you are applying for, definitely they must have listed some skills required. Do you have these skills? If these skills are not on your CV, then you will not be considered. We'll still talk about applicant tracking system. If you don't have these skills mentioned in the vacancies, there is no way you'll be shortlisted. So the skills and competencies you have, the core competencies you have must reflect on your CV. And the next is professional experience. What are the professional experiences you have? What are the things you've done related to your field that will make people to know that, yes, you're actually worth it, you are capable? And what are the achievements you've made so far? All this must reflect in your CV. It's very important you put them. We'll still look into them one after the other. Then the education and certifications. If you are applying for a job and they must have specified specific category of educational level they want and certifications, all this must also reflect on your CV. If they want an engineer and you are not an engineer, probably they want someone that has foreign, that has NSC, and you don't have. Definitely, if it is not on your CV, there is no way you'll be qualified. You want to apply for a job of an accountant, they want a chartered accountant, and you don't have this as a certification, professional certification, there is no way you'll be considered. So all these things need to be reflect on your CV. Then we also have contacts. What are your contacts? I'll still talk about it later. The contact in terms of your address, which must be specific, and the contact in terms of your phone number and in terms of your email address. These three are very, very important when you are preparing your CV. It must be on your CV, and you should make sure you don't make mistakes while putting this down. And the last, I'll talk about the online presence. If you're applying for a job, it will be good you also create impression of you being online. And most especially here, when we're talking about professionalism, we're talking about LinkedIn. If you have a LinkedIn account, it will have been good for you to put the link of the LinkedIn account on your CV. It's very important. However, if you are doing this, make sure your LinkedIn account is being set professionally. Yes, it's being set professionally. There are ways in which you're going to set your LinkedIn account that will attract people. This must have been done for you to be able to win the heart of those that actually want to employ you. So let's talk briefly about tips you should know when you are coming up with resume. When we say resume, we're talking about the same thing. If you're coming up with CV, I want every one of us to listen carefully here. So the first thing I want to mention here as a tip, which is very, very important,
Very well.
I want every one of us to listen to this carefully. The first thing is tailor your CV to each job applicant, each job advert, sorry. If you want to apply for any job, before you apply for that job, try as much as possible to know what they require. If you want to apply for any job, don't just feel, yes, I have a CV and let me just send my CV. No, always revisit that CV. Job advert will definitely have the roles, responsibilities that is being required of you if you are applying. And you have to make sure that the roles required, the responsibilities they want you to do at that job suit what you have on your CV. Even if you have experiences, several years experience, and it's not related to what you have on that CV, they will definitely not employ you. What I mean is study job vacancies very well.
Good evening, everyone. Um, just to fill in the gaps while Dr. Ibrahim joins again. Welcome. For those of you who joined last week, Zafirah and I are here to be contributors to what Dr. Shittu Ibrahim is presenting today. And so while we're waiting for him, just want to add one or two things that he's mentioned about having a good CV, a presentable one, the tracking system that's set up when recruiters also are vetting CVs that they receive. What someone shared with me sometime was about the tracking system and how it matches, at times it matches keywords in your CV to keywords in the job description. So maybe while you are presenting that, oh, he studied electronic, let me say, he studied electronic engineering or something. The tracking system is mapping particular words. Do you have, if the job description, for instance, asks for experience in project management, it will check if on your CV you have something related to project management. So, like Dr. Ibrahim said, as much as possible, you might need to have a different CV for every job that you're applying to, more or less, to make sure. So you need to tailor that CV to the particular job description, to the particular industry. I know electrical engineering is quite versatile, right? Many times you can work in quite a number of places. But if you're getting your CV ready, for instance, in an industry like manufacturing industry, for instance, that CV, if possible, you could just slightly alter it to serve as an electrical engineer in a networking company, for instance. So, like, depending on the sector, too, you might be able to tailor maybe one or two experiences that you've had in networking or you've had in software development, specifically for the industry that you're applying to. Then another thing that he also mentioned about, having an online presence, and he mentioned LinkedIn. LinkedIn is, I think, probably about the most versatile and the most used professional social media platform that a lot of professionals use. And from there, it's like a very easy way to expand your network, get to meet more people, get to have connections from people who maybe you might just be admiring that person. Fine, even if you reach out to them, some of them might not answer, but at least you could follow the person. If you see what they're doing and you're interested, you could just follow the person to see how the industry is shaping up, what's happening out there, what conferences are coming up, what opportunities are coming up, it could even be reports, what reporters, let's say the Institute of Engineers or the International Energy Agency or whichever field that you're interested in, has come up with, what new developments are there. At times, or many times, those who are like working professionals who are established in the field, they do share these insights into what the industry is like. So it's a good way to not only expand your network, but to also improve like your knowledge. You might find things interesting to read about, to know about. And knowing about what's happening in the industry could also help you by the time you're going for interviews. So someone who comes with a little bit of knowledge, at least, about the industry, by the time the person gets to that interview stage, you've passed the CV screening stage, maybe you've met one or two HR people, and then you're going on to the next stage where you are then meeting the technical staff who maybe you'll be reporting to or thereabouts. It's good to at least have a fair idea of the industry you're going into. You might not have so much experience, but at least if they mention network cables, you know that okay, this is we what happens in industry. Or if they're talking about layout or schematic diagrams, at least you have a fair idea of some of the very common terms in that industry as you're preparing for your interview. Sorry, I think that was a bit of a digression. What I was talking about was on LinkedIn, and I just wanted to mention. Then maybe I'll hand over to Zafirah to also give some insights on LinkedIn. Having your presence on LinkedIn, also about the first impression, like Dr. Ibrahim mentioned, the first impression someone sees, or what the first thing someone sees about you is your picture, right? So typically, if you're taking a picture for your LinkedIn post, let it be as professional as possible. Professional in the sense that it doesn't mean you have to wear a hard hat and you have like a background is like maybe a solar PV farm or an industry or networking cables or whatever. What I mean professional is that you're looking sharp, you're looking. It doesn't have to be a suit. It does, but at least if you're wearing a shirt, fine. Let the shirt, even for whatever they see, it might just be your face and up to like chest level. You're looking nice. You're looking neat. If you decide to wear traditional, give a complete, put a cap on, put your nice outfit on, your buba and shokoto, your babariga, whatever, but whatever it is, give that fresh impression that you put in an effort. You don't want to have a LinkedIn profile where you're wearing a t-shirt or you're wearing a baseball cap turned to the side, or it doesn't give that professional look. If that's on Facebook or TikTok or other social media, that's fine, I guess. But at least for LinkedIn, you're looking at professionals, looking through your profile to see, oh, who is this person? What does this person look like? What does this person do? Or what can they do? And that could be part of the hiring process for some organizations. Let me pause there and hand over to Engineer Zafirah as well. All right, thank you.
So Engineer Shittu is back. So I think I would let Engineer Shittu just carry on, and then I'll probably add to what Azizat has said after.
All right, thank you very much, Engineer Zafira. Please, can we give Dr. Azizat a round of applause? Thank you very much, Doctor. Okay, Dr. Shittu.
I said you have to make sure that you tailor your CV to job adverts. You have to make sure that you don't just submit the CV you have on ground. You have to make sure you look into the job adverts. What are the requirements? What are the skills they require? What are the job responsibilities, the job roles? And you make sure what you have in your CV is in line with that before you submit the CV. Otherwise, you'll be screened out by the application tracking system. So you have to use exact words, keywords that is being mentioned in the job advert. And I mentioned that your CV shouldn't be too long, shouldn't be more than 2 pages maximum. And make sure you reflect the achievements you've had. In fact, you have to quantify those achievements, which I also mentioned along the line. And I mentioned that try as much as possible to make sure that you avoid spelling errors and grammatical errors. It's very, very important. And stick to this type of font size, Times New Roman, Calibri, or Cambria, because the ATS applicant ranking system is familiar to this font size and font type. Sorry, if you are not actually using the font type, the software may not actually recognize your CV as it should be. And I mentioned that you should try as much as possible to be honest. Don't force your CV. Don't put what you feel you know that you did not achieve. Don't put the skill you did not actually have in that CV. I've mentioned applicant tracking system several times. The reason is most of these big organizations these days they can't even look into the CVs we are submitting by themselves, because we have hundreds of thousands of people that are applying for these jobs, and it's not possible for individuals to be looking at the CVs one after the other. However, if the CVs are being submitted, they are being channeled into the applicant tracking system. So for you to now scale through, your CV must be compliant with this applicant tracking system. And how can that be done? I've mentioned some of them earlier. One of it is that you have to make sure that your CV is as simple as possible. Don't use funny fonts, just as I've mentioned. Don't feel because you want to beautify your CV and you started using funny fonts that the applicant tracking system will not really recognize. Just as I mentioned earlier, make sure you also adopt the job title that is being used in that on that advert. For example, you want to apply for production manager, put that as your headline. Project manager, put that as your headline, or whatever job role you are applying for. Because all these things will be recognized by the ATS. So try as much as possible to go through the job advert very well, identify the skills required, identify the job roles they want, the responsibilities, and the keywords all those keywords, make sure you have most of them in your CV, because the software will be attracted by these keywords. This is how you are going to come up with an applicant tracking system compliant CV. So let's look at CV layout. This is an example of a CV. I've mentioned professional summary. If you look at the professional summary we have here, one of it, the one at the extreme left, says experienced product manager with a strong record of boosting user experience and streamlining project delivery. Significant achievements in driving product strategy with over 6 years of experience and a passion for DevOps practices. If you look at this particular summary, you realize that this person has identified the job roles required. They need a product manager. You can see that on this CV. They need someone with user experience and product delivery. You can see that on this CV. They need someone with good product strategy. You can see this on the CV. Probably they need someone with DevOps experience, and you have that on the summary. So all these things are what will attract the ATS, applicant tracking system, for it to recognize that particular CV and rate that particular CV. And you can see the experiences here. The person also mentioned the experiences which include the senior product manager. The job role he's actually applying for, he's trying to tell us that he has experience related to this. So the job roles that have been identified in that job, in that vacancy or in the advert, try as much as possible to make sure that you package your CV to reflect that you have experiences related to this. At the center, we have the name of this person, Jacob Roberts. Then we have project managers. We have past expertise, strategic vision. We have phone number. We have links to the person's LinkedIn and email address and address. There is something that I want us to actually notice here. On our CV, one of the most major mistakes most of us do is you putting your specific address on the CV, which is not needed. For example, I stay at number 17, Katalori Street, Iduroko, Lagos. That is wrong. On your CV, the major thing is they want to know the location that you are. For example, I can just say Ikosi Road, Ketu, Lagos. I don't need to put my specific address there. In fact, I can just put Ketu, Lagos there so that it will show the area that I stay. And one thing that is also very important here is you are applying for a job and you think you actually need that job very well. Try to understand identify the location where they need that person. Where do they need the person? Because at times it might be limited to those that stay in that area. It might be a job role that they want someone that is familiar with the location. If that is the case, it's advisable for you to use the location where that job role is being needed. So you have to consider this also. And make sure your phone number is there, and make sure your valid email address is also there. And you can see this person through product manager, which happens to be the job title. So you have to make sure you put all this on that CV. Look at the achievements we are having here. We have 30% market penetration growth. This person quantified the achievements he has made. 40% reduction in time to market, 95% customer satisfaction. You have to make sure you quantify your achievements. This is what we actually tell people that yes, you are performing. And we also have skills. Just as I've mentioned, before you put in these skills, don't just jam-pad your skills. Go back to the job adverts. What are the skills you required? Do you have those skills? These are the skills you actually need on your CV, which is the reason why you have to tailor your CV to specific job location, not you just sending a single CV to all job adverts you've seen online. And the same thing to this, and that is what we have. So by this, I expect that we should be able to have a good CV. Another thing that is important is what we call cover letter. And I'm sure most of us would have been familiar with cover letter. Cover letter is the same thing as what we call application letter. It's just a typical application letter. So it is actually a document that is being attached to your CV when you are applying for job. Some organization may not even request for a cover letter, but several organizations also request for that, just for them to also get familiar with who exactly you want to employ. So if you are being requested to attach your cover letter, try as much as possible to be concise. Your cover letter should not be more than 1 page. In fact, it shouldn't be more than 4 paragraphs. And this is a structure that is expected of you to put in your cover letter. In the first paragraph, just try as much as possible to tell us who exactly you are. Who exactly are you? Then how you probably come across the application and what exactly you are applying for. That is the expectation on the first paragraph. And the second paragraph is expected to summarize your skill. So the second paragraph is just to summarize your skill, your knowledge, your experience, just as we've mentioned earlier. Then the third paragraph, tell us, convince us why we should hire you. Why should we employ you? Let us know that, yes, if I employ you, you achieve this and this and this just the way you've achieved them in the past. So here we want to know, do you actually have the knowledge of the organization? Because you have to convince the organization that, yes, they should hire you because you have the same vision with that particular organization. You've achieved several things that you feel if such is being achieved in that particular organization as well, the organization will definitely appreciate it. And last paragraph, it's just for call to action. Call to action is to let them know that yes, this is exactly what you want. You want them to employ you. So let them know you attach your CV and you'll definitely be looking forward to their response at the end of the day. So your cover letter shouldn't be more than this 4 paragraphs. And if you are doing this, it shouldn't be something much. It should just be on a page. It shouldn't be more than 1 page. So after that, and you've submitted your you've submitted your application, you've submitted your CV, and you are lucky for you to be invited for interview. What are the things you need to prepare for your interview? Before you go for interview, make sure you know about that company. It's very, very important. Because there are questions that may come up as a result of you understanding the organization. What are they for? What do they stand for? What are their vision? What are their missions? What is the mission of the organization? All these things need to be understood by you before you go for that interview. Then anytime you are going for interview, make sure you have a copy of your CV. There's possibility they will definitely have your CV there, but make sure you also have your own copy. In case they just ask you, can you please submit a copy of your CV? Because at times, because most of these organizations request for a CV virtually, and they may decide not to print, and they may decide not to actually want a copy of it, which can be a test. Another thing that is important is know the content of your CV. It's actually your CV, and you're expected to know everything about yourself that you put on that CV. But there are situations you fabricate what you put on your CV. So it will be double error if you fabricate what you have on your CV and you cannot actually defend it. So you have to make sure you know those content very well before you attend any interview. And just from what I heard from the speaker when I lost my my network, then you have to be make sure that you have a clean, you are neat while going for any interview, because the appearance is very, very important. Because you are expected to be an icon for that organization. You are expected to be a figure for that organization, and they definitely want you to be the best for them. And another thing that is important before you go for interview is for you to look into what are people saying about this organization. For example, these days we have a lot of people that are unfortunate and they attend some interview and it becomes scam. So if you search, you've Googled to know about this organization, you know how the organization is, you know if they're actually real, you know about, in fact, you even know about how they ask questions. You know about what the possible questions they may ask.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you again for joining. And those that are coming back for the second time, this is very good. Just as Dr. Shittu and Dr. Azizat has mentioned, it is very important. Presentation is important. How you portray yourself, that is your brand, the way you carry yourself. So I'll give you an example. Let's say I just come, I want to have a meeting with maybe any one of you, and you look at me looking all disheveled, scattered, my clothes is squeezed, I look like I ran, 100 meters to come and see you. You'll definitely, be put off immediately. Whatever it is that I want to say, you might not want to hear it because you even think that I'm the wrong person that you're meeting. So it's very important the way you carry yourself, neat, put together. It already gives someone a first impression of yourself. It's like you are now showing that, yes, you can do what you have even come there to do, even without speaking. And then by the time you speak with your brand, with your presence, they spoke about LinkedIn presence. Take, for example, I've just written a bunch of things on my CV, and then you decide that, oh yes, this person is quite interesting. I want to just check on myself, on my own. I want to do my own research and find out about the person. And you don't see anything, not even, a very vague, name, or you see like maybe 5 or 7 people that have the same name and the same similar information out there. It's going to be difficult. You will start to wonder, like, is this person even really existing, or did I just get random, CV or random information about this person? And the person starts to become skeptical. And these days that the ATS is the one that is doing all the search for you, as well as checking and getting information and matching it with what it's out there, is very important, how you present yourself. So 1, you define your expertise briefly, like make sure that it's whatever it is that you're going to put out there, someone should be able to look at it and just from your title, from your introduction, from your summary, the person should know exactly what you're able to do and what you're capable of doing. Building your brand in general it's like a journey. It's kind of like a lifetime journey. I will tell you that I'm not there yet. I don't know who has completely built their brand amongst ourselves here, but for me, I can tell you that I'm not there yet. I'm still putting myself together, trying to put myself out there. And many people always think that you have to have maybe some kind of achievement, something big, before you start to put yourself out there. If you're going to take anything away from this, discussion, is to at least create a LinkedIn profile. And creating a LinkedIn profile, you don't have to be, oh, I've achieved this, or I've seen this, or I've seen that. Just have something that represents who you are and at whatever level that you're starting. So, and then from there, you start to engage with different people, the people you like, the people who are interested in your field, or the same, or the field that you're interested in. you see someone who is interested there, you follow the person, you see that you engage with their post, and then they start to notice you. At some point or the other, you start to make good connections, good networks, and that's how you build. As Azizat mentioned, there are some people you might send messages to online. On LinkedIn, they might not respond, but that doesn't mean you can't follow them. Excuse me. You can follow them and see what they're doing, see their interests, and also align your interest and get good information out there. There is a whole lot of information about different sectors on LinkedIn. And if you are able to use that whenever you go out there or put yourself in front of either an interview or a conversation, you'd have something to say. You'd have something to talk about. Like, for example, I saw on LinkedIn saying that there's going to be there is a plan to, you know, put together, I think, stakeholder engagement for wind energy in Nigeria. So these kind of informations, you don't just, you know, stumble upon them. But if you're on LinkedIn, you follow someone that is in the energy space, you follow somebody that is in the electrical engineering space, you would see these kind of information. So I just thought that I will just chip in. If there's any, if anyone has any questions, actually, now with a few things that have been said, if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat box, and I think we can also answer that as we're going. So for now, that is it from me. I don't know if Azizat has any more to add to this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Zafirah. Please, can we give Engineer Zafirah a round of applause? Dr. Azizat, do you have any more to add to all that she has said?
Yeah, maybe just one or two. I think she's really covered a lot of ground as well. So one that just occurred to me was about your email address, and typically, of course, on your CV, by the time you're sending out your CV, you need to have your email address. So rather than have maybe, because in the at times the process of setting up your email address, maybe your name is Umaru Ibrahim, for instance. They've taken Umaru Ibrahim, they've taken Umaru Ibrahim, they've taken Ibrahim with a double HE, they've taken all the possible ways you could write your name. There are other ways that you could, maybe add one or two suffixes or things to make yours stand out a bit. But one that you shouldn't do when you're having an email on your CV, is to have one that has a funny name. So don't go around with a professional or with an email address on your CV like yaronopimples123@gmail.com. No, that's for anybody who sees that. First thing is like, oh, is this person serious? If you're maybe like in the comedy industry, or you're into entertainment or something, maybe you can get away with something creative and funny. But in most situations, especially for like engineering and other professions, you should have a CV. You can have another CV for less formal things, but at least for your professional CV, should have your name. Okay, I saw Ishaq just clapped now, so let me use his name as an example. Ishaq_Sulaiman. If all the other Ishaq Sulaimans are taken, it could be Ishaq_Sulaiman. It could be Ishaq Sulaiman -eng at gmail.com. Something that sets you apart without being too like overly relaxed or playful for your CV. Then also to mention, Dr. Shittu talked about going for interviews and doing your research. So yeah, when you're going for that interview, make sure you've done your research. At least you have an idea of what the company is about. If through LinkedIn, you could also try and see who works in that industry. Not necessarily like reach out to talk to them, but you can reach out to or view their profile, view the kind of things they post about, see what kind of things they like, just to get a bit familiar, or maybe like a subtle way of knowing more of the kind of things of interest to those who work in the company. Then for your interview, if it's an in-person interview, if it's an online interview, maybe one or two tips around that is make sure you show up on time online. Fine, we know internet issues happen and all that, but preferably you're online at least 5 minutes before. It's better for you to be online and waiting for the interviewer to, set things up rather than um, your interviewers waiting for you. It begins to tell that, oh, this person doesn't keep to time, doesn't show a good level of professionalism. So as much as possible, if it's an online interview, try and log in before then. Have your environments cleared up, or if you use a backdrop where they don't see what's behind you, if you're not in a place where you want to show off what's in your background, just have everything tidy there. Okay, let me pause there and hand over to back to you, Tunu. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Azizat. Thank you, Dr. Engineer Zafira. All right, while we wait for Dr. Shittu, we would go with the question and answers for Engineer Zafira and Dr. Azizat. So, if you have any questions for Engineer Zafira and Dr. Azizat based on what they've said so far, please can you drop it in the chat box or raise your hand so we can take the questions. And if you don't have a question, I would like you to say something that you'd change about your branding now. All of our speakers have mentioned LinkedIn over and over and over again. So I'd like you to talk about what you would have on your LinkedIn headline. What do you think your LinkedIn headline will say now? For instance, if you're still an undergraduate, your LinkedIn headline might say student, this university. If you have a post in a society in the school, you might say president, assistant general secretary, this. What do you think you can put on your LinkedIn profile now to sell yourself as a reliable brand? And while everyone else is doing that, we will take questions for Engineer Zafira and Dr. Azizat. Okay, Musa Muhammad, you have a question. You can go
Yeah,
ahead.
thank you. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. The lecture is actually insightful, and learning some things. So now my question is this: like the issue of branding on LinkedIn. There are some of us that just have the LinkedIn account. We are not actually posting. So what effect does it have on our CV? And if we are to start posting now, is it that whenever we are having activities, or what are the necessary items we are supposed to put on our LinkedIn profile?
Okay, thank you very much, Musa. Dr. Azizat, please can you take the question?
Okay. Okay. So okay, let me start from, like, for someone who is like a graduate, right? Most of maybe your experience, most of your profile might be like around your qualifications. You've just graduated or you're about to graduate, one or two courses that you've taken or something or the other. Even if you don't have much to post, to start with, at least have that LinkedIn profile set up, right? And as we mentioned earlier, one of the things you can do is to find out who are those in the industry or that sector of the industry you want to work with, or the organizations. Even if you're not following people yet, start with following organizations. If you're following whoever, there might be a company somewhere that you're scoping that, man, if men are going to join them the next day. Organizations like that you've mapped out that this is the kind of thing you want to get involved in. Start with following them. It might not be so much of you posting, or you might feel, oh, there's not much for you to post, but start following such organizations, find out what's happening there. Then, if you have a network, whoever it is that you also has as part of your physical network, in the industry, you can follow them online as well. They can help you get some insights. If you see something that's come up, maybe there's an event that's happening, you could also comment, oh, this is an interesting event, oh, I was at this event, whatever it is that shows that you're active, you're not just sitting in your room, taking Indomie and egg and just waiting for that job to land on your lap. Just whatever it is that you can use to connect with others around you online, then just try to do it in as much as you can. I know it's not easy because I know even I myself there are times I don't post anything for weeks, and then something happens. I'm like, oh, okay, let me just put this up and have something online to share with other people, and then just from time to time, just wake up that LinkedIn profile, and get like your network up and knowing that okay, I'm still here and I'm online as well. Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Azizat. Engineer Zafirah, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, I do. So, with me, I like to tell you with an experience. So I met this very young lady some years back. She was still in the university. I think she was in 300 or 400 level. So what she did was that every time she aligned herself, so like she joined their, like, take for example NIEEE chapter. You decide to either be a secretary or I think there are different roles though, some project management, maybe you be an organizer or something. So she joined the one for her own chapter. She's in chemical engineering. And then over time, whenever they have events like this, she would just post about it, like what were her activities in the event, the things she learned, and how relatable it is to the sector. She will now tag the subject that they talked about in her post. So you that you're saying, what type of post would you want to put out there? Take for example, you've attended this webinar. What are the key things you took out of this webinar? This is something that you can share, and then you share it on your post, and you tag the name of the companies that did the presentation and things like that. And that's how you get visibility. Someone out there is going to relate to this post and be like, oh, this information is actually good. Or and information like tailoring my CV to what is actually what the role or responsibility for that job. This kind of information are very good, and then they can help you to create little posts here and there. As Azida said, you don't have to post every day, but then having a LinkedIn page, you follow some top individuals in the sector, you follow some top companies in the sector, and take for example, you see an article that has said something that relates to something you learned in class. You can also bring that out and say, okay, yes, I'm matching my knowledge with something that I saw that is being done in the industry. It can be something as simple as your electric circuits. You read something about that and you decide to put something relatable with that. So I believe that you will not run out of post ideas. Even your project work, how it went, you speak to you learned this from here, you saw this from here, you attended this event, just making sure that you are somewhat visible. And that's the point. So that's it for me.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Engineer Zafirah. Please can we give them a round of applause?
Okay. Actually, it's a wonderful session. My question is like, if you want to apply for a particular job, must you like meet all the requirements, or if you meet like 70% of the requirement, you can go ahead and apply. Then secondly, this as the content that is inside your CV, is it the same thing as like for resume if you are doing it? Differentiate between the two, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mohammed. Engineer Zafirah, please can you help us with that?
Yes, please. Could you go over the first question again for me?
So Mohammed asked that, do we have to meet all the requirements of a job application before we apply? And what percentage do you have to meet before you consider application? And then the second question was to differentiate the difference between a CV and a resume.
Okay, thank you. So Mohammed, 70% of the requirements is good for you to take the chance and apply. And just so you know, there are some recruiters, they're not expecting that anyone is going to know every single thing, or sorry, it's going to have every single thing that is required. So you can apply with 70%, tailor your CV correctly, as well as align your experiences that are similar to the role that they're requesting for. So that's very fine. You can just go ahead. You don't have to have everything. There are even some job applications that you would see it written at the bottom that you should go ahead and apply if you have 70 or 80% qualifications. And then the next question is that your CV and your LinkedIn profile. So what I would say is that your LinkedIn profile would kind of back up what your CV is saying. They should not be absolutely different from each other. So you can have the CV has more information than your LinkedIn profile. Your LinkedIn profile is more like something that someone can just look at quickly, have a summary of all the activities that you've been doing, all the projects that you've done. But then with your LinkedIn, with your CV, sorry, you have the detailed information about like what percentage of achievement did you have here. Some people do exactly the same. I have seen cases where my CV and my LinkedIn profile are exactly the same. Some people will just literally copy their CV and put it on LinkedIn. The choice, I think it's more of a choice thing. But what I would say is that your LinkedIn profile shouldn't be too ambiguous that someone cannot go through it. And then your CV now has details about yourself. Then thank you.
We're moving to the interactive session now. Please, can you give a thumbs up if you're still here? Give a thumbs up. React if you're still listening, if you're still with us. Yes, okay, great. Thank you. So in 1 minute, can we post in the chat box 2 actions that you will take based on the learnings of this webinar? What are the 2 actions you would get into right away once this webinar is done? What are the things you're already making mental notes of to start doing as from now on? Can you just tell us in the chat box? Will you open a LinkedIn account if you don't have one? Will you write a CV? Will you write your CV based on the templates provided? Is it your cover letter you need to work on? What is something new that you've learned and you would apply? Oh, interesting. Oluwatimileyin says that he or she is already rebranding their profile on LinkedIn as we speak. Well done, well done. I want to hear what everyone else will be doing right after this webinar is over. If you have any question, you can still raise your hand or write it in the chat box. We can take 1 or 2 more questions and then we'll call it a day. Okay, so we have a question in the chat box. The question says, Adams Shehu says that what is the best way one should write their LinkedIn bio or headline that will properly brand you, I assume. Okay, Aliyu Azan says we'll be upgrading his CV and LinkedIn accounts right after this webinar. So, Dr. Azizat, can you help answer the question that Adams has? He says that what is the best way or how should one write their LinkedIn headline to properly brand themselves?
For your LinkedIn like bio, to start with, I think one of the um, like typical practices is to keep it short and simple. I think there's even a limitation to how much you can, like how many characters you can type into your LinkedIn bio when you're having it there. But the basic thing is just try to capture your strong points, your maybe some like achievements, or for instance, if like you're part of you've completed a fellowship or something, you can put it there. Okay, oh, I completed the climate change agents fellowship You can put in your areas of interest. Oh, that you're passionate about energy and energy and climate change. Yeah, you know, passionate about using technology to solve health challenges. You could just take a call. It could just be a short phrase. It doesn't have to be like a full sentence, and then separate them from each other. So you could have up to 3 or 4 short phrases describing what your interests are, where your strengths are, maybe some of your achievements or accomplishment in terms of where you, yeah, and then yeah, possibly like where you also volunteer. So if you're like a volunteer with NIEEE or something, while you're still at that stage where it's not like you have so much experience on, you can post that, oh yeah, the managing director of Lullaby Nigeria enterprises or whatever, have something to put in that about your interest and where you're aiming to grow in. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Azizat. Can we give all our speakers a round of applause? Um, Beatrice Isuwa says that she's ready to rebranding her profile and upgrading her CV. Thank you. So Friday Pius says, I want to appreciate the organizers of this meeting. I've learned a lot of things during the presentation. I abandoned my LinkedIn account for long now, but I've promised myself to reawaken my account from the meeting. Thank you all. Well done, Friday Pius. I hope that you keep to your words. And Engineer Zafira.
Yes, thank you, Itunu. I just want to add too that you don't have to think too much about your posting. I'll give one example if you want to use to revive your LinkedIn account if you had before, or even if you want to open today and you want to start something and you want to post something. This webinar is something that you can post about. What were the key things, what were relatable to your peers, and then when you post, someone can see it and be like, oh yes, there's something like this going on. And you can even put the link to watching the webinar on YouTube for someone else there, so someone can even see your post, interact with your post, as well as benefit from it. So you have different options for your LinkedIn that you're going to start. So just go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much, Engineer Zafira. This is a start. This is a great start. Talk about everything that you've learned here and what you'll be doing going forward. You can tag Thinky Heart. We have the LinkedIn profiles of all the speakers pinned to the chat box. You can tag them to get more engagement. Yes. Okay, Ayokende says, this is very impactful. I'm ready to upgrade my profile and CV. Mohammed Mahmoud says guides on how to create a LinkedIn account. So I think you just need to download the app and create a profile. Basically, it's just like every other social media app, and you have sections that you get to fill. Is there an advantage of upgrading the LinkedIn account to the paid version, premium? I don't know if any of the speakers have anything to say about this, but I think there's an advantage. Of course, it's premium, but it's not necessary. I don't know if anybody here uses, if there's anyone here that use the premium account and can tell us if they've seen any major difference. If there's anyone, you can just raise up your hand. But from my experience, you can just use the accounts like that without upgrading or paying for premium. Okay, Mohammed
Yeah, I
says,
also use the account like that. I don't use the premium one, but I know people use premium. Maybe they're looking for something specific, or they want more traction, or maybe they're trying to use their LinkedIn page for like content creation too. Maybe they want to pay for premium, but the normal LinkedIn account is enough to do you justice.
Exactly, just like in Zafirah have said. From what I notice, majorly people hiring or doing writing, content creation, and stuff like that. If it's just for personal branding, the normal account is fine. I think that's all we have for now. Mustafa says, I promise to rebrand my LinkedIn profile that have been dormant and give more strategies on CV writing. It was very educative and impactful. Thank you very much. You can make this your first LinkedIn post and talk about how impactful and educative this session was. So, as we conclude, I would like to thank all our speakers, Dr. Shittu Ibrahim, Dr. Azizat, Engineer Zafira, Engineer Chima, and Dr. Camille. Dr. Camille, do you have anything to say before we round up?
I really want to appreciate everybody for finding time to join the webinar. Despite the network issues, we still have a lot of people hanging in, and we appreciate their presence. Like the moderator has mentioned, we are going to ensure that we share the slides from Dr. Shittu, and we can continue the conversation from there. And I want to appreciate ThinkyHearts for finding time to join us. I want to appreciate Dr. Shittu. I want to appreciate everybody that has taken time to join us. Hopefully, we'll continue the webinar series and we'll communicate accordingly. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Camille. Please, can we give him a round of applause? Thank you, everyone. So thank you once again, Thinky Hearts. Thank you, NIKIT Digital Center. Thank you, NIEE Voucher Center. Thank you to all our speakers for making this second series possible. And most importantly, thank you, everyone here that has been hanging around, listening, engaging, probably taking notes and hopefully going to upgrade their LinkedIn profile and working on their CVs. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you for your active participation. We look forward to seeing you again in the next series when we continue. Thank you very much. Don't forget to check the pinned message on the chat box. Follow Thinky Hearts on YouTube to get the recording and to check the recording from the last series. And you can follow all our speakers and reach out to them via LinkedIn from the links provided. And if you want to make your LinkedIn post about this webinar, you can just check Thinky Hearts, tag Thinky Hearts, tag the speakers, and talk about how educative and impactful and how you're willing to take personal branding very seriously going forward. Thank you, everyone. I hope that we have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
Good night.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Bye bye.
Bye. God bless.